What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners podcast. Aggro and Barracuda, as per usual. Barry, we did move it down a little too much. Barry changed setups. We were worried that it might be too much there. Hold on. Of course, they won't be hearing you. Yes, that is better, and they are hearing you now. I'm back. You can tell because of the audio issues and being a little late and all that kind of stuff. That's just kind of like my shtick. It's kind of my bit.
Yeah, to be fair, it's not your fault we're late. It's my fault.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus. I was going to let you do your thing.
I couldn't get into a game, man. I was stuck forever trying to get into a game, and then, it took me forever.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes sometimes. I only listened to the very first few seconds of the podcast last week with Dave. Of course, he did not do quite enough homework on how I opened the show, but I assume everything was great after that. And there were no issues. And I'm also sure that because I didn't look at the YouTube comments intentionally, no one in the YouTube comments surely was saying, "Oh, this is so much better with Dave instead of Aggro. Wow, this guy is so much more handsome and better at the job," and all that kind of. No one would have said that because that would have made me feel bad. So I'm really glad that no one said that, even though I didn't look. But no one said that for sure, right?
Yeah, it also would have been false.
Right. Well, he is better looking than me. I mean, come on, we can just call it.
We're
looking at it's like saying that a dying flashlight is as bright as the sun. You know, like you can love that flashlight a lot. You know, you can have great feelings for that flashlight, and you could acknowledge that flashlight is not as bright as the sun.
That's fair. Yeah.
And that's just how it is around here. Dave is my son and all of ours.
He was shining bright last episode.
And not S-O-N. Yeah, I just, before we get into it, I did want to just kind of give like a quick little PSA to everybody and all that kind of stuff. Not because I feel like I owe anyone an explanation for why I wasn't here. It is 50% my podcast, and I'll show up when I want to or don't want to. But, I do think that I often like to use my platform to talk about mental health and all that kind of stuff. And just wanted to be open, which is just kind of who I am. And had a pretty tough mental health week last week. And just kind of unplugged from social media. It was kind of unfortunate timing because, I was initially going to be on the Patch Notes show, which I was really excited to do. But I think it's important to know when you need to give yourself breaks. I am very lucky in having a job and bosses, and Clumsy and AJ, who are very understanding and kind and sympathetic. And they basically let me take the vast majority of last week off of work, which is really what I needed. And nice. I think, I just wanted to say that, it's a little bit without too much context and all that kind of stuff, just kind of had a pretty rough like panic attack on Monday, and then did a whole lot of dissociating for like the entire week. Had a couple extra therapy appointments, talked to a lot of friends and family, all that kind of stuff. Very lucky to have a good support network around me, and I'm feeling a lot better and glad to be back at work and on the show and all that kind of stuff. But I'm sure that a lot of people, myself included, even for someone like me who is oftentimes talking about my mental health and all that kind of stuff can really sneak up on you. That's what really caught me off guard, was I really felt like I was doing fine, and all of a sudden I'm not. And that type of whiplash can be scary and difficult. If you ever find yourself in any situation like that, dear podcast listener, and chatter, don't hesitate to reach out for help, whether it's, to a therapist or to a friend or a family member or just someone who, has dealt with things like that before. I think it's really important to not push yourself too hard and to give your brain, your brain sometimes is sick and it needs its recovery time, just like you would want to take some time off if you had a fever or a stomach bug or something like that. Like, your brain is capable of being sick as well. Just wanted to say that it's not it's a big deal and also not a big deal, like at the same time, right? You gotta take it seriously, but it's also like fine and normal for those things to happen from time to time, as long as they aren't happening all the time. And just don't, be kind to yourself, I think is the big thing that I wanted to say. That's not I don't know what. It also comes with kind of a warning. My brain is still not all there. I kind of like space out and ramble a whole lot these days, even more so than usual, which is literally hard to imagine, but it's actually true.
That is impressive.
It's something I bring to the table, no doubt about it. So this episode in particular, I am not held liable for any weird things I say or do. That is my blanket statement going into that. So, unfortunately, I did miss a podcast that is kind of a big one, the Season of Hope. I hear that you guys did turbo through most of it. Kind of weird how if you don't have someone who just like talks for 30 hours on everything, it goes faster.
No, it did take about 90 minutes, and me and Dolson did go slow, and then we hit the hour mark, and then I was like, okay, we gotta turbo through this. Because I was like, we haven't even started on, I think it was like gods or items yet, and I was like, there's so many more. And I kind of I kind of just blanket said, like, healing gods got changed either to, like, buffers or damage dealers or protectors. And lifesteal overall, all the items are getting hit. And also sustain gods also all lost their power scaling off of their heals. And yeah, that was basically it. But I wanted to get your kind of, I guess, a design aspect for why these changes happen. Yeah. I like all the changes.
Love it.
Well, the Afro one is a little scary, just a smidge. But I figured we could go kind of retouch on these a little bit, and then I don't know, is information out for the upcoming games this upcoming weekend?
Yes, there is a bracket posted and like a schedule. Maybe not.
I don't know where
the bracket I can put. It's just it's very actually simple. They did a good job making it nice and easy for me because I only took 2 seconds to look earlier. It is right there. I just put it in the chat, but just the Smite Pro League website is the only place you need to go. But yeah, I think it makes sense for you to do a little driving here for patch notes, and then we'll talk about this for a little bit, and then we'll switch over to SPL kickoff tournament.
So first, the Fire Giant change. I think that's a pretty hefty change that wasn't touched on much during the patch notes, but I wanted to ask why the time change for going from 4 minutes to 3 minutes of having the buff. If it was just like an experimental period for the 4 minute uptime, 4 minute, like, you have the buff until Fire Giant spawns again.
Right.
I like the downtime with the minute, but yeah.
Yeah, we talked about ways to address making sure that it isn't constant uptime for the Fire Giant, and one of the things that's a big advantage of this multiple seasons in a year format is that we can make bigger changes more often throughout the year. So something like this, I mean, we would probably change something like this in a normal patch anyways, but it's exciting to add it into a host of other changes. I think that it's, we could have just kept it at 4 minutes and then made the respawn like take an extra minute, but we do like we know that games can stall a little bit on this bigger map, and making players be a little bit more decisive with their buff and keep the tempo up a little bit, I think is good. So if we have to either add a minute or subtract a minute is like kind of a simplified way of looking at it. Subtracting a minute doesn't increase the game time as much as adding a minute could. Now, it could be the opposite effect where, having the buff for less time means less gets done, which means you need more fires in order to win and all that kind of stuff, especially in ranked. But, we're going to be keeping an eye on all that. And I hope that something that is talked about a lot in Magic the Gathering design is designing cards that have drawbacks that force you to play them in the types of decks or the types of ways that they will be more successful in anyways. For example, like a cheap, aggressive card that can't block is a good example of a design that you wouldn't want to play that card in a deck that's doing a whole lot of blocking anyways. So only put it in if you're down to attack. And that is... hopefully, with a little bit less time, players will realize that they can't waste quite as much time with their Fire Giant, that they should be a little more purposeful with when they're backing and not just like backing for a 500 pot or something like that, or to, increase their relic without like fully, just a tier 2 or something like that. Speed up the pace a little bit of the buff.
Yeah, it definitely felt weird of like, okay, we're sitting at their Duo Phoenix, we have 1 minute left on our Fire Giant buff, are we just going to reset now and get wards out and still have the Fire Giant buff for right when the Fire Giant spawns, or do we want to like try to do the siege for like 2 more times, and then the siege goes poorly, they just walk and get Fire Giant, so it was definitely a different version of Smite, but I like that it's kind of gone back to the OG version of Smite, I guess, just from familiar reasons.
Yeah. I think we're very open to changing this sort of thing if, games are lasting too long because of it or too short because of it. Either way, we'll be keeping an eye on it for sure.
And I like the gold change and the pyro change of not being able to body block it anymore. Yes. And the movement speed increase, because it was just a lame thing to be in the game for a support to run around Gold Fury and not take any damage.
Yeah, we obviously like skill mechanics for tanks, like tanking objectives, like not getting hit by fire stuff is important. That just felt like a knowledge check even more than a skill check, and was not super intended. So if you're still able to tank these without taking damage, I imagine we will continue looking at it. But maybe we won't.
Do you want to go over the items?
Or
like the new items?
Yeah, are there any new items that particularly interest you or you think will be good, bad?
Rejuvenating Heart confused me.
Sure.
And Last Gasp also confused me.
Sure, so I can kind of go over these kind of quickly. Rejuvenating Heart is 70 magical power, 300 health, 300 mana, 2450 gold. Successfully hitting enemy gods with basics and abilities provides a stack of 6% healing dealt that is consumed by the next ability heal used, max 8 stacks. This is for, we know... I guess maybe I should give this blanket before we go into healers. Healers, I see so many takes of healers are better after this patch. And my response to that is, excellent. We did it. They should be better in nearly every way, except for healing, where they should be significantly worse. And that is a very, very hard paradigm shift to wrap our minds around. We've been playing Smite for 10 years. If you let a Hell get out of combat for 2 ability rotations, everyone is full health. That is what we're used to. It is hard to imagine a Hell where she does it's very easy to imagine her doing all of these new things, right? It's very hard to imagine she doesn't heal the full team in 2 ability rotations, right?
Yeah.
It is hard to envision that without playing against it a whole lot. And there's a chance that we still didn't get quite right on, the chance, let's be real, that we got all of these right out of the gate is basically 0. That's just game design, baby. At least in a game where you can live patch it.
And it's such a massive change, and so many different changes happen to the healers. I also agree, I feel like it's kind of impossible to perfectly balance it, as well as when you're putting in so many different items. But I was wondering, what this item, because it was basic attacks too, so I was wondering if it's is this intended to be an all-run item?
Could be. I think, I think that it is more about making it feel consistent on I damaged an enemy, I gain a stack, and not forcing it to be ability damage only. So I don't really view this necessarily as a Olarun item. I think that this is a very good Chang'e item. I think if you're ahead on Sylvanas, this item has been really strong. 300 health is not nothing. It's a little more
That's
expensive
true.
than he wants, but like it's not zero stats for you defensively. And so if you're snowballing, like I think I did that once in a playtest, and I was like, holy crap, I am slamming. I think that we didn't want this. An item like this gets you closer back to the big heal, and we don't want the big heals happening with any
that's
sort of
fair.
frequency. So this is supposed to be a little more narrow. It's very possible that it's too narrow. But that was the general idea, is that for those players that, because healer mains are like so locked in, and that's what they want to do. I want to heal. Like that's what they want to do. And we knew that this patch would be very difficult for them to get the feels that they still wanted. So we wanted to make sure that they were given at least an item that even if they had to jump through a bunch of hoops, they could get there occasionally.
Yeah, and they still have Asclepius as well, and it has CDR in it, so
Asclepius
you
is
can kind of
crazy, by the way.
yeah. If you want to heal, you can just go those two items. Last Gasp seemed kind of interesting to me, with a lot of kind of different stats on it, like a healing item with flat pin on it. That just kind of like screams raw to me.
Yep. Yeah, great
Um,
raw item, great again, Changa, power afro. Though I wouldn't be building power afro, I'd be building tank afro all the way. Yeah, those types of gods that can do a little bit of incidental healing. You can gain a lot of magical power pretty quickly if you heal someone who's really low health. So again, last gasp. I think that the magical healing items, we were a little more scared of, because when if I were to make you name the three biggest healers, they would have all been magical, right? Like the magical healers are the scarier ones, and also got the majority of the changes. So I think that we definitely wanted to put a little bit more power in the physical healing tree. I think we probably were a little too pushed on the physical versus the magical. Like I wish we could take a tiny bit of power out of the physical and put it back into the magical items. But I'm excited to see how many cool interactions people are finding with these physical items, because there are a lot of them that are very powerful and very unique and very fun. Are they very balanced? We'll see. But I think that there are some really good ones that we play tested and that people are already finding that I didn't initially think about.
yeah, does Vital Amplifier work on Chiron passive?
Yep.
It shouldn't, right? Oh,
Yep.
it does?
Yep. Sure does. It's a very good Chiron item. Very good. You know what? It also works.
Okay.
You know what I was running was a little Vital Amplifier set. And just
Oh, that
gaining
sounds yucky.
a ton of attack speed and basic attack damage in my ultimate. It's a little narrow because it's only proccing in your ult, but man, I was going absolutely hammy salami with it. It's Vital Amplifier feels so good on like Ama as well, on Arachne. Those abilities that tick heal you on their own, getting you to that 3 stacks like right away on the just Ama changing stance gives you the full benefit of this passive after your heal ticks a few times. It feels really, really good.
And then Sekhmet Scepter. This confused me and Dolson a lot. So
Yeah.
we didn't really know exactly what this item was for.
Okay, so you can so basically if you heal yourself or an allied god, every time you damage an enemy god, you gain some cooldown back. It's just it can't happen more than once per second. So like when we didn't have that clause, you could Guan heal and then Taolu assault and then Taolu assault.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
yeah, that makes
not
sense.
really, because I guess it's a channeled ability, but like you could have
Yeah.
healed Talude, like over and over and over again. So it's really good for gods. Again, I was going Sekhmet's and Vital Amplifier set with 3 damage items in my starter. Or 2 damage items in my starter? No, 3 damage items in my starter. And that felt really good because I got a lot of HP and I was getting a ton of cooldowns up and a ton of attack speed and basic attack damage. And it felt really, really awesome. So those gods that can get in there and deal a lot of damage or just hit a lot of numbers out on people, you will get your cooldowns back very, very quickly.
those might kind of be a chalk item a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It seems kind of fun on chalk. I don't know if it would actually be good, but it seems fun.
Yeah, I think Chalk could maybe work. I think it's still very good on Guan. I think. Oh, there was another god that I was thinking of that this worked really well on, but now I can't remember it off the top of my head. Herc, just getting your 1 and 2 back, which are already up a lot with his buff, gets a lot of survivability.
That buff is pretty big.
Pretty big. Pretty big.
Kind of shocking, because we thought he was like already pretty good, and then the 2-1, they both got buffed by 2 seconds, right? Or was it
yes, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those gods that, for so many players out there, like, I don't think pros really view him as a tank via healing, but I think our casuals certainly do. And if you're taking significant healing off of the 3, which we did, it needs it for the usual player who Herc already really struggles on Herc. Herc is one of those gods that always has really bad stats. Then we felt like he probably needed something pretty splashy. We'll see if it ends up being too much for pro play. That's definitely a god that we're keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I feel like noobs probably can't pull push too effectively, especially
no,
on
they
console.
Sure can't.
I feel like that would be very difficult.
No, they can't. No, they cannot at all. A lot of noobs probably don't even think that they should pull, walk forward, turn, and push. They probably just use those abilities completely separately. And they probably don't use their and they definitely don't use their 3 right before they take a bunch of damage. Like that is a god that requires significant mechanical and knowledge, mechanical skill and knowledge to succeed with, and that is usually a recipe for a god that does not do well for most players.
Yep. Next is the anti-shield section, which
caught
me off guard by a lot, because I didn't really see shields as a big problem, I guess. But is this just... I talked about it a little bit with Dolson. I was saying that it kind of gives more power to the player for individual success with a lot of these changes. Feeling more like you are the one, like, anti-healing or anti-shielding, with the, like, Deathbringer change as well. I think it gives more power to the individual, which I think is really healthy for the game, especially for the casual scene. So I think this is a good change.
I think anti-shielding is not something that is a big talking point right now, but if you remember, I think it was like beginning of fall split last year, or maybe summer playoffs, there was like a big push for anti-shield, and that it was like Yamoja and her shielding, and there was a lot of Odin at the time, and I think Nike was in the meta, and there was a big push on Reddit and the pro Discord and all that kind of stuff for anti-shielding options, and things like that take a long time for us to get to. We could have tried to fit it in, and we discussed fitting it in, before this, season 1 of year 10, or even before that, but we felt like this was a logical place to drop it. It also, like, I agree that shielding is not a huge issue in the game right now, but with healing coming down, shields go up in value already. And like Yamoja got her shield buffed a little bit. And it also just future proofs us a little bit and just gives us a knob to turn for future gods or future buffs that involve shields.
That's fair.
I think that I do imagine that gods like Nike and Odin are going to feel a little bit of negative effects from these items right now. We gave them some compensation buffs, but in my mind might not have been able to do enough there. But again, with our focus being so wide here, it's very hard to dedicate that amount of time to like 1 or 2 specific gods that aren't being massively changed by a systems change like the healing one. So I've seen a lot of talk about Odin, Nike in particular, and we're definitely going to be looking at their stats and seeing how they're performing, and testing a bunch against them, and seeing what we can do if they are hurting.
Yeah, I still don't think anyone's going to buy Gem of Isolation. Maybe
This item
the
is not
casuals.
bad, man. This item is not that bad. I
Maybe
swear.
the casuals will buy it.
Bro, I don't know. I'm just gonna make this thing execute. That's it. I'm done. I'll make a gem good if it kills me.
There's just so many good mage items right now. You can't fit gem
Mm.
isolation in your build.
Yeah, imagine saying that sentence a year ago. You know that when mage itemization, everyone was talking about being completely unusable, and they've gotten so many changes since then. So I'm not saying that people were wrong to think that a long time ago, but it is funny how quickly the landscape changes.
Yeah, these little mage players. Mage players are just the biggest crybabies. And then ADC
No
players shortly
way,
after.
man. No way mages are the biggest crybabies. No shot. It's junglers by a mile.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true.
By a mile. And then it might be mages. Yeah, it might be mages after that. I don't know. Solo laners sometimes. Everyone complains about their role. That's just the nature of the beast.
Do supports complain the least?
No. No, I don't know who complains the least, honestly. Can we say it's junglers complain the most, and then it's a 4-way tie after that?
Yeah.
I think that feels fair, you know?
It depends on the meta for sure, for who's complaining.
I'm happy with junglers up top, all 4 roles after that.
It's junglers, and then genetics, and then zap, and then all the other 4 roles.
Exactly, yes, that is how it works, for sure.
Embrace gets a tiny buff, in my opinion. You get 0.33 seconds off of your...
Oh yeah, do you think this... We were like brainstorming this change, and we were like, is this just super busted? And we tested some different numbers and all that kind of stuff, and so I don't know. I really don't know how big of a difference is going to make. Are you like excited to build Embrace now?
I think it's okay, but it depends on the ADC that you're playing.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely god dependent.
Yeah, and I think you need something that your cooldown's going to feel very good. It definitely can bring like a malicious Deathbringer with an Embrace build out, maybe, and you're just cooldowning on cooldowning, but I don't know if an ADC would really love that besides like maybe an Artemis, maybe like a Chernabog.
Medusa maybe,
yeah. Because you would have infinite mana too, but your one doesn't go on cooldown until you use it all, so...
Right. Yeah, I think this is probably better for warriors. Warriors getting their CDs back on their dive, like on Ama or something like that. Like this probably feels very good. But yeah, we were like, can we really do this? Is this gonna be like too crazy? Oh man, Erlong could have like basically permanent uptime on his one probably.
Oh yuck.
That seems pretty good. Yeah, I've got some testing I want to do.
Let's not do that.
I've got some testing. I don't think we can't go over everything, Barry. We're already 35 minutes in.
No, I just want to talk about Afro.
Yeah, let's talk
that's
Afro.
That's basically it.
Sure. Any you want me to tee off, or is there a specific thing you want to talk about with Afro?
Well, all 3 of her changes are crazy.
Yes.
All 3 ability changes are crazy, and I think this is like one of the craziest buffs we've seen in a long time.
Yes. I agree. We wanted to be deliberately heavy-handed, because when you think about the infinite universes out there, you can't say infinite. Let's say there are 100 universes out there. If we said we are gutting Afro's healing, like and we did absolutely gut it, and we gave her a bunch of buffs, I think it is less likely that people go, holy crap, Afro is so broken now, than this character is completely dead and worthless. That was kind of our mentality for the big healers like Afro and Hell, where we definitely wanted these buffs to catch your eye and go, that seems really good. Because their healing got nerfed more than you can really know by reading it. Like, you have to feel it. So if there, like I've talked about with items all the time and that kind of stuff, like we have to really, when you've got a set opinion of something and we are trying to make a massive shift to it, we oftentimes have to go big or else it doesn't grab hold. It would have been much harder to buff Afro to viability post this change, post these changes if she came out and was Terabad.
That's true.
Than to bring her back and make her feel unique and fun and exciting. I think overall, we'll see what the stats are saying. We'll see what once players learn to play around this new style of Afro and how she builds and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that there is going to be a learning curve with all of that as well. If I had to do a gut check on if Afro is above the usual point of balance right now, I would say she probably is. But I'm hoping, and we are hoping, of course, that it is not egregious and it's just, this is a strong pick in the meta right now. I think that I'm very happy with where we ended up on her playstyle, and the way that she feels if she isn't full healing her linked target and still feeling like she's bringing a lot of utility, I think feels really good. And if we do have to nerf her, which we very possibly will, then we can, and it's cool. But I'm happy that like Afro and Hell were two of the ones, because these are the gods that like healing mains, like I was talking about earlier, like these are their gods. They love to full heal their teammates. They want to sustain their teammates. That's what they want to do. I'm very surprised at the lack of big threads on Reddit, like, you murdered my baby, like, what is going on? Like, I loved full healing my team as hell. Now I can't, never playing this game again. We've seen a lot less of that than I thought we would, which is exciting. And I think that's an indicator that our player base understands why these general changes were made. We did a good job messaging our goals and our reasonings and all that kind of stuff. And we came up with buffs that felt exciting and made people want to play these gods, even if they aren't doing the thing they were previously known for doing, and can do something different now instead, which I think is very exciting. Are they busted? Hopefully not busted, but hopefully fun to play and can find and fill a new niche.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a scary change. 5 seconds is a very long time. That time is up there on the timers in Smite.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's healthy, because I don't think Afro really ever found her spot in Conquest, especially in pro play. We saw her like rarely used by players like Dardes. It was like Afro Erlong. I can't remember who he was teaming with at that time, but
Cherry, I think. Surely it was Cherry.
Maybe it's Raph or like Erlong support or something. I just remember an Afro and Erlong running around together. Yeah, I think since then she was never really like a damage dealer. She wasn't the best like keeping someone alive god. She wasn't really particularly great at anything, I think, and this kind of makes her feel like a true protector of someone. So hopefully the Afros in your arena games that are permanently linked to that Susano player don't start building tankier. That Susano will be unkillable.
Yes. He will be very tanky and get his cooldowns back and deal more damage and
for 5 seconds.
Yeah, after she ults. I mean, it's an ult.
Yeah, after she ults. Yeah, it's I mean,
it's an ultimate, have to press it's gotta, you gotta do that. It's a long cooldown,
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't think the Hell change is nearly as crazy as the Afro change. It's definitely like scary to think about, but I don't think it's as crazy. I think those are the two big last changes in my opinion.
What about how you feeling about Ra? No, I'm sorry, not Ra. Although you can give me Ra if you want. Anubis being able to walk into one.
Funny. I think that is just hilarious.
Bro, the first time I played against him in a playtest, I was like, what is he doing? Like, get him away from me, man. I can't walk away. It was like, I knew it was coming and it still freaked me out.
It's just funny. I don't think he really lives in situations that he was already dying in because he's walking. But I
Hmm.
think for a casual player that does live in a situation where like you dodge an ability with your one and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I love that."
Hmm.
I think that's gonna feel really good. But I don't think it's like I don't think it's like game breaking or anything. I think it's just more of a funny change that probably should have been in the
Really?
game for a long time.
I feel like there's a decent chance that Anubis is like a good to very good jungler.
Because he could walk at you?
Well, just because he isn't self-rooted uh, during that time. So you're guaranteeing more ticks. You're doing that anyways already because the tick time is cut in half, which is just better, even though it's dealing the same damage. Um,
I do like that change.
so your one is just such more consistent damage, and it means that you can pull camps together better and clear and all that kind of stuff. Like his gank is not that bad. You just got to hit the two.
Yeah, I don't like that you put that out in the universe.
I feel like it could be kind of good.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I don't want to get wrapped.
Is his survivability like? I mean, it is a good amount worse than Hebo, but like his damage is also easier to get off than Hebo. I think like at least sometimes like Hebo being burst and Anubis being tick like obviously matters a lot, but Anubis has much better range than Hebo. So
And the Bancroft change.
and the Bancroft change, I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
Oh, I should have let Destiny on the podcast. She was raging about the Bancroft change.
What about it? What's her beef?
Well, she builds Bancrofts every game. So she wants it to be the most OP item. She also loves healing with Bancrofts, and healing with Bancrofts got nerfed.
Yes.
Even though I tried to tell her that it didn't really get that bad. Basically, she was saying that she ordered mushrooms on her pizza and got peppers. That was her argument. So I just wanted to forward that to you and just let you marinate with that for a while. Maybe like you think it over tonight in bed and just kind of like think about how you upset Destiny with this patch.
That doesn't make me feel good. You know, that's never what I want.
Okay.
So, you know, if Bancrofts gets buffed in 10.4 or 10.5, now you'll know. You know.
Thank you.
Everyone
she will appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. I'll just mess around and make Bancrofts the best item in the game and be like, I don't know, guys, just felt right. They just needed something else, you know. They just
True.
They needed something else.
They only have 10 good items. Okay, on to the Smite Pro League this weekend.
Yeah. Oh wait, before that, Barry, I got to talk about my balls because Manscaped is back, baby. I didn't want to go clever. I wanted to just get in there right away.
Yeah, get in there.
And Manscaped is back, one of our favorite sponsors, because their copy is always very funny. It does say in the introduction, cue dramatic sounds. Let's pretend me saying I got to talk about my balls is the dramatic sound. This is a public service announcement. Manscaped now has beard products. It is going even further with their brand new Weed Whacker 2.0. Go ahead and tell the world the leaders in below-the-waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. They're just the best in the business, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 and their new beard line confirms they have all the best tools for your hygiene toolbox. Time for your upgrade. Time to upgrade your game by going to manscaped.com and using our code BACKLINERS for 20% off plus free shipping. Barry, did you get the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit in Weed Whacker 2.0? Because it arrived at my house. Did you get it? I did.
I actually used the beard trimmer 2 days ago.
I clearly did not, and I need to desperately.
Oh, I haven't looked at you yet. I'm assuming you're looking beautiful.
Sure. Just pretend I'm Wilson. It'll be better for everyone.
I already am. I have always hated beard trimmers because
they're terrible most of the time.
Yeah, they always like scratch your face when you're like bringing the guard across. The Manscaped one is very soft.
Ooh,
and it's very easy to use. And for someone as stupid as me, as an ADC player, I was able to use it straight out of the box. And it was very, very, very easy. Because my beard was getting a little frisky. The hairs were kind of growing all over the place. Same with my mustache. And Well, I walked up to the door and I was like, "Oh, we got a Manscaped package. God bless. Thank you." So I
And
don't have
that's
to
how
try
you
to
will
do it
feel, dear
myself.
listener. Yeah, God bless, my Manscaped package has arrived. Your significant other will collapse in tears of joy for you. It says right here, your significant other will be delighted to see you covering all bases. If you know what I mean, winky face. It
I know
doesn't.
what you mean.
They use the emoji. I just
Oh.
said it out loud. I will say also, I'm excited for this Weed Whacker 2.0 because it's for those tricky to trim ear and nose hairs. And being fully honest, Joe sometimes will just look at me and then like point at me and go, "You got a nose hair," and then walk away.
Oh.
And I'm like, great. Now I have to pull it out and my eyes tear up and it's just really painful. This thing is going to be big for me, for sure. So there was a lot of great stuff in there too. It wasn't just the Weed Whacker and of course the good old fashioned what's it called again? Is it the hedge trimmer? Is that what it's called? I don't know.
I think that's the beard trimmer.
Oh, okay, yeah, the beard trimmer. Right. It had both of those, but we also got like some shampoo and some body wash that I'm really excited to try out.
I used those yesterday. The body wash smells really good.
Ooh, big.
And so I've had dandruff problems for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the shampoo and conditioner, and my scalp hasn't been itchy for 2 days now, which is a big improvement.
Because that was my worry. Because I'm a Head and Shoulders user. Because I also get a little bit of dandruff. I've used Head and Shoulders my entire life, and I was like, man, I feel like this is gonna be really good, but I worry I'm not gonna get the anti-dandruff stuff. Now I don't have to worry. There's no concerns.
It was nice and moisturizing, surprisingly.
There you go. Well, if all that sounds good, and it should, go ahead.
Wait, the deodorant? Destiny is in love with the deodorant.
Dude, I swear this is not like, well, it obviously is an ad, but it is not like, I'm not just trolling when I'm saying like, oh, I needed this nose trimmer and this beard trimmer, and I'm glad the shampoo is anti-dandruff, but I'm also glad that their deodorant is aluminum free, because I just realized that the deodorant I've been using does have aluminum, and apparently that's like something that you want to try and stay away from where you can, and a lot of the main deodorants do have aluminum in them. So I'm actually going to start using that like tomorrow, now that I remembered.
It smells so good.
Let's go. They're popping off. So there's a lot of great stuff, of course, in the big old Manscaped package, and I did word that way intentionally. So get 20% off and free shipping with our code BACKLINERS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use our code BACKLINERS. Always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Big shout out to them. Glad to have them back here on the pod. As Barry said, Season 10, Season X is what they're calling it. Kickoff tournament begins March 31st. That is Friday. It is just this weekend with all 8 SPL teams. This is a tournament set up to, get everyone excited about the SPL, get everyone back in the swing of competitive Smite at the highest level. It is going to then go on a few week break before Phase 1 starts, but this also is there to set up who gets to pick the divisions, because remember that now it is a divisional Phase 1 with 4 teams in each division, where you're only playing your division mates more often. So overall, like, how important do you view this tournament and setting up the division to be successful, Barry?
Funnily enough, I never view these as important.
Sure.
It's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of just a heat check for a lot of teams to kind of see where you are on the map and to see like what you need to work on before the phase starts. Because I've always had the mentality of, if you're not number 1, then you have stuff to work on.
If you're not first, you're last, maybe?
Yeah, basically. Like, and we have a lot of stuff to work on. I think the teams we've been scrimming against have a lot of stuff to work on as well. So I think we'll just see who plays best on the weekend itself. And also with this new patch, a lot of things have changed for competitive in scrims. And just kind of like readjusting to the new patch, because we thought we had a foothold on it, and then it kind of just changed completely, which isn't a bad thing because in my opinion, this isn't like a big tournament. It's kind of just to see, like I said, where the teams are at, see how new teams are meshing, to see what teams need to work on.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's a very exciting tournament just to see who shows up. But I have heard that a lot of teams have slight issues with showing up. Just
Yes.
like player wise, like I think Neon in chat said 5 teams have at least one player not in the studios, which is a bit unlucky. Just uh, I assume like visa issues or something like that. So
Yeah, definitely unlucky
well,
there.
yeah,
How
we'll
big,
see.
how important do you think getting a good or an advantageous division is? The way divisions are going to work is that teams will play the teams in their division twice per phase, whereas they will play cross division only once. So you'll have, if
Hmm.
you're in a division with a bunch of very strong teams, you have to play them all twice instead of just once, which will obviously make a pretty big difference for your record. Um, how important do you think getting in a good quote unquote division is?
I think it's pretty important. Also, with the teams being, or the good teams being on the other side, you're going to scrim them more often. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to be in a bracket of worse teams so you can scrim the better teams more often,
Mm-hmm.
which is a pretty big deal. And in my opinion, that's the biggest deal with this tournament. But we'll see if there's a big difference in like the top 6 and the bottom 2. With Hounds and Glads, we'll see how good Hounds and Glads are.
Mm-hmm.
But I assume there'll be like the 3 teams on one side, 3 teams, and on the other side, then we'll see Hounds and Glads. But
Sure.
if Hounds and Glads show up, then I think that makes the drafting process much more complicated.
Agreed. I don't think we should pick the whole tournament necessarily, but I think we should just go through each matchup on Friday, give our expected
Hmm.
winners, and then maybe who we think will finish first overall. It kicks off at 11 on Friday with the Styx Ferrymen up against the Eldritch Hounds. Hounds, obviously, the number one team coming out of the SPL qualifying land, so I guess the seventh seed, so to speak. How do you think they will stack up against the Ferrymen?
I think Ferryman with the Baskin pickup and Cyclone pickup are going to be very strong. I don't think that this will be their best tournament. I think that they are in the kitchen for a while, but I think also those players are more tournament players, so we'll see if they pop off. But
Mm-hmm.
I expect this to be kind of a close matchup. These are best of threes, right?
I believe so, yes.
I think it might go 2-1 Ferryman here.
Okay, interesting. I've got 2-0 Ferryman. I'm a little higher on the Ferryman than I think you are.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think veteran team, been around forever. They think about the game a lot. Aurora Cyclone have always
Hmm.
been meta pushers. Baskin is someone who, even though he won't tell you as much most of the time, does think about what he's going to pick and play a whole lot. And if they can, the who knows what Sino is cooking up. That's the big thing. And the other thing with the Ferrymen is that they can get it very wrong and look very bad at times. Historically, that has happened
Hmm.
occasionally, not often, but to Aurora Cyclone teams where they think they've got it nailed down and then they don't, and that's just how it goes. And I think that I would always bet on them. So I'm going 2-0 Ferryman there. Um, Leviathan's up against the Dragons. Uh, Thoughts on that one, Barry?
I'm just gonna go Dragons here, knowing the Levi's mid situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think this will be a pretty easy Dragons 2-0 over Levi's.
Yeah, Shinto, it sounds like, is not going to be able to make it to the studio. And Zap tweeted, looking for mids that can potentially play. So, assuming that that is the case, that it is not Shinto or that he is on ping, I agree that I think this is a pretty easy Dragons 2-0. Kings Gladiators. Kings
Yeah, this is
coming
a
off the.
Kings 2-0, unless Glad's like bring something crazy.
Yeah.
I think Kings are still Kings. They're still very good at Smite. Genetics still does a great job of controlling the pace of the game and where people are and makes you respond to him. And Gladiators being a relatively fresh team, in my opinion, I don't think that they will be able to control the map nearly as well as Kings unless they have some crazy early game. We'll need to see like some Anubises come out or something crazy early game, I think, to catch Kings off guard.
Hey, Twig could be running a little Anubis jungle. That could be that could certainly be in the cards for the Kings. Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously the Kings are the heavy favorites, but at the same time, like I kind of think this might be a little bit of an upset alert. Like I'm getting some vibes from this set. You know, Kings coming off a Worlds win. They don't feel like they have anything to prove. Gladiators have nothing to lose. No one's expecting them to win. You know, if Kings don't prepare hard and the Gladiators do, and then the Gladiators come out swinging and the Kings get off to a slower start, why not? I still think the Kings are going to win, but I'm going to go 2-1 in their favor. And I would not be surprised. Like, if I had to pick one upset victory, like set win, I think it would be this one. Makes the most sense to me. But I guess Leviathans, Dragons, and Ravens, Warriors are like close enough that you wouldn't really call one like a big upset.
Yeah.
All right, Ravens versus Warriors is you guys. You're taking on Jake over there.
Which I thought was pretty funny. I know this has to be scheduled intentionally.
I would have if I were them. I would have.
Yeah, I think this is the closest set I would say, and I honestly have no idea how this set's gonna go. We have scrimmed them a fair bit, and the scrims are kind of all over the place.
Seems about
so
right.
I have no idea how this set's gonna go. I know, I will say we definitely will still have a lot of stuff to work on. So if we lose this set, I'm not gonna say like I won't be like surprised, like being like a downer or anything,
Right.
like a negative Nancy, but I'm not gonna be upset if we lose this set. Just kind of knowing how we're playing right now. Not to say like we're choking or playing like really poorly. We just have still have a lot of things to work on. We got a lot of chefs in the kitchen right now.
Listen, the Warriors, we've said it all along since the day this team was announced. If the less overarching strategy and the more who hits their buttons better, the better we think this team will be. There is no time throughout the rest of the year, most likely, that there will be a less defined meta than this tournament. Right?
That's true.
This is line up and shoot each other as much as you possibly can, unless you really break it, like unless you really find it. And they might.
Yeah, we're basically playing Halo on Smite right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're just playing Halo against the Warriors, like I like their odds against any team. Like mechanically, that team outmatches the entire SPL, in my opinion. So I don't know, man. I kind of like Warriors' chances in general at this tournament because I think this is exactly the recipe for success for them, which is, I don't know what we're playing. They don't know what they're playing. Let's just pick this and see what happens. And hope we hit our buttons better. So
yeah,
I kind of like the Warriors here.
Yeah, I kind of like the Warriors too. No, I genuinely have no idea how this set's gonna go. It's gonna be a fiesta, I think. It might just be like a slaughterhouse. Like it might just be like an arena game.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It'll be something. I can't wait, man. This is gonna be super fun to watch.
We'll say, just responding to someone in chat, teams will be taking this tournament seriously. 100%.
Yes.
No team will be like trolling, teams will be trying stuff out and trying strategies. But it's not going to be troll. It's not going to be, like, joking. If you see people picking oddball picks, it's to try it out, not to troll.
Yeah, I think there will be some interesting strategies. I agree with Barra, though, that it is because the meta is so open and so new that just because it doesn't work doesn't mean it was troll. I think we will see a lot of things that don't work.
You might see some Dan's first picks.
Who knows? That is a Highland Ravens classic right there for you. Overall, real quick, your predicted winner of this tournament?
I mean, I'm gonna be kind of lame, but I'm just gonna say Kings.
I'm going Ferryman. I like the boat boys here. I've got a good feeling about them.
I don't. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to me having cursed them entirely. I
Yeah,
apologize to the Boat Boys for that. Okay, great. Well, that does it for the normal episode. Normally, right now, we would go into the random question of the week as brought to you by our Patreon Discord, which you can go to by going to patreon.com/backliners. Great way to support the show and Barry and I directly. But I wanted to switch it up a little bit this week because, anyone who follows me on Twitter knows that I like to, I don't like to, but I feel the need to speak on a lot of, political issues or just general newsworthy topics. And for those maybe not in the U.S. or who are uninformed to a level that I am jealous of, there was another school shooting this last week in Tennessee that has really been stuck on my mind. Any mass shooting does, because I feel very strongly about how the NRA holds our entire government hostage and prevents any action from being taken against gun laws. But in particular, it always hits extra close to home for me at schools because my wife is a first grade teacher, and I think it is ludicrous that I have to be worried about her safety as if she were doing a much more traditionally dangerous job. It's not something that I enjoy talking about. I'm sure it's not something that everyone enjoys hearing people preach about. But I feel that it's important as someone who occasionally has other people listen to the words they say, to say what I believe, which is that the way that our country interacts with and has a relationship with firearms is unacceptable. This is not normal. Common talking points you'll hear are things like, it's a mental health issue, it's not a gun issue. And I think that is, for lack of a better term, a pathetic defense. Every place in the entire world has mental health issues. Every country in the entire world has some amount of violent crime. No country in the world has shootings like this country has. It is so simple. It is so obvious. If you were an alien looking at this country, pretend that this is all a game, right? And your job is to fix Earth. Your job is to fix every country in the world. And you look, and you just read the data. And you look at, if it were stats, and you were to diagnose what you should change, what balance change you should make to the United States, and if you think adding more guns is the solution, or not an issue at all, I think you're an idiot. Somehow, so much of our country has been brainwashed into thinking that owning a gun equals freedom, and I just can't understand that in any way. I'm really sick of it. Just how many more kids, not even just like people, which is obviously unacceptable anyways. How many more kids need to get killed at school before we decide that's enough? It is just, I'm inconsolable about it, to be honest. I have a constant level of underlying rage anytime I think of anything regarding this issue. I've got an email typed up that I'm going to send to my local representatives right after this. I encourage everyone to do the same if you feel a similar way. I am not hopeful for change, being honest. I think it is all driven by the money in politics, and that is truly the root of all evil in our system. But it's all we can really do for now. I feel for parents who have to explain to their kids why they're hearing about these things and why, my wife has to, a lot of her kids have backpacks with bulletproof lining in them because that's our best option. How is that our best option? If this turns you off from the show, I'm cool with that. I think this is it is a terrible wrong that is so easy to correct. I'm not saying that the policy is easy or anything like that, but I just think that hearing these excuses, I'm just kind of done with it. It's criminals are still going to have guns, and it's like, yeah, dude. You don't make economic policy. You don't stop making economic policy because it won't change the value of the dollar tomorrow. You don't change, ecological policy because all of a sudden the air is going to be cleaner next week. You do it for people that will be here when you aren't anymore. You do it because it's the right thing to do. And I just, it's been on my mind. It will continue to be on my mind. And here's the thing. It'll happen over and over and over again. The rest of this year, the rest of my life, most likely. And I just find that completely unacceptable. So I appreciate everyone listening, for Barra letting me go on my little soapbox here. I think this stuff is really important. And even though I am very pessimistic about our option to change, all we can do is try. That's all we can do, But yeah, we'll be back. Dolson might actually be taking my spot again next week because I'm going to see some family, taking some time to spend with them and all that kind of stuff, which I think will be good for me. So we'll either be taking next week off, or someone will be hopping in for me next week so that you guys can at least go over the kickoff tournament, or if worst case scenario, we're back in 2 weeks after that. So who knows?
I will not be doing it with Mifflin.
You will not be doing. Okay, well, I'll check him off the list.
Me and Mifflin, we got
we would lose all our sponsors. We would lose all our sponsors. That's for sure. That's absolutely the case. All right. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. Glad to be back, and hope you all enjoy the SPL kickoff tournament this weekend. Until then, Barry, you know what to do.
Bye.
Oh, he still got it. Okay, but be honest with me. Did you try harder on the bye last week because it was Dave?
Yeah, I feel like I had to make up for because you weren't there, so I had to put in a lot more effort. That podcast was 90 minutes, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
We went above and beyond.
Well, they get what they get with me, and I don't care. It's my show. If you don't like it, kick rocks. See you later.